Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's call. We're hitting the end of April, and I hope everyone that participated in the Master Day event over the weekend got as much from it as I did. Such a thrill to see so much recognition and acknowledgement of so many achievements from so many distributors that are doing some great things with the incentives that Niken has put together. Fantastic results. So for those of you that were acknowledged and recognized for your rank advancements, for the Club QI, for your power starts, for all of the different incentives that are being utilized, congratulations, well done, keep at it. This is what it's all about. Utilize these and get as much as you can from everything that Niken's putting on the table. It's interesting, isn't it, that Niken can put so much on the table, and yet we can leave so much of it there and then wonder why we're not getting as much as we would like. We just need to kick in and utilize these incentives, and we'll find we're getting full advantage of what's available to us. So I've got a few slides I want to share today, and I hope that what I share with you has an impact. It certainly, I read some statistics over the weekend or over the course of last week, and I thought this is interesting, and it's definitely worth sharing, because one statistic in particular grabbed my attention and made me think, how are we doing here? You know, this is something that we place great emphasis on, and it's something that I think we can do wonders with. So I'm going to share my screen for just a second, share this statistic, and we'll go from here. We know in Niken, of course, that in business, in life, everything, it's all about people. Yeah. Our success thrives in this area. Gallup did a survey over the course of 3 years. They did this survey and surveyed hundreds of thousands of people. I want to ask you a question. Maybe write it in the chat, your answer. Of all the people that they surveyed, what percentage of people do you think acknowledged being happy and engaged in their employment? Now, this is worthwhile considering, of course, as we reach out to others and share our opportunity and what Niken provides as solutions to fulfillment and meaning and value and contribution. What percentage do you think of people around the world were happy and engaged in the work that they're involved in? And like I said, actively engaged in their job. Let's have a quick look. We're getting some chat comments coming up here. Maggie said 10%, Barbara Richmond is saying 30%, 12%, about 25%, Kathleen saying 25, Ron and Renee saying 25%, Michelle. You guys are actually spot on when you're saying these low figures here. If I was to take the average of what you're saying, the average of what you're saying is correct. 15%. 15% of people are actively engaged and happy in their employment. Frightening that, isn't it? Amongst all of the questions that they asked, this one rated as one of the most critical statements, I should say, in regards to leveraging happiness and fulfillment and engagement in the workplace. There is someone at work who encourages my development. That was one of the best survey questions that separates out enthusiastic, high-performing workers from low-performing, miserable ones. Now, think about this for just a second. If the active engagement of happy, fulfilled people is 15%, what cost to businesses, to enterprise, and to fulfillment and what have you, what is the cost as a consequence of that in regards to, it could be resources, it could be financial cost, it could be time wasted, you name it, goes into business when all of that dissatisfaction is there. It's quite a startling statistic, isn't it? But I want you to think for just a moment at your own team and organization. What is the level of high engagement and activity in your team? Yeah, Ron, 100%, wasted human potential right there. Wasted human potential right there. So let's look at our own organizations for a minute and bring this inward. Yes, that was an outward survey done around the world on employment and the workplace. And this is entrepreneurship. This is not the workplace. This is something different. But as we look at our own teams, let's just ask ourselves a similar question. What would you say, and this is a rhetorical question because it's a private scenario here for your organization. What would you say is the active level of engagement with people in your business? How happy and fulfilled are they? And again, let's relate that to this question. How much support am I offering them in helping them feel like there is someone batting for them, championing their personal development? Because that seemed to be the key, didn't it? If you look at your team and you see that there is a disconnect between the opportunity and the cause and the level of engagement and fulfillment that people might be experiencing, and there is a disconnect, maybe the bridge is the role that we play in providing support and encouragement to that person or that team, our team's sense of development and fulfillment. We need to play that role. I want to share an example or two from my personal experience in developing in this area. A number of years ago, I was a general manager and we had an internal vacancy in the company that I was working for. And it was for an events coordinator. One of the candidates, we had a lot of people apply from external sources, that had the ad where we had it advertised. But we had one internal applicant, just one. And that person came from our customer services department. This was for her a chance to step up, get a promotion, get a bit of a pay rise, and develop her career and herself. I looked at her application and I sat down with my HR manager and I said, Karen, I'm not going to interview this person. She's not the right person for the job. And she said, Ben, you cannot do that. I said, what do you mean? I don't think she's going to get the job, so I'm not going to employ her. I'm not going to hire her for this role. She said, but it's protocol. If someone internally applies for the position, we're obliged to interview them, right? And she said, not only that, this lady is famously known for being a little bristly, right? If you were playing soccer with her and she was on the opposing team, she was the kind of person that would just run you down and knock you over on the way to scoring her goal. She said, if you're not going to do that, then it's on you. Over to you. You tell her, not me. I'm not going to tell her, right? And I said, that's fine. I said, look, I don't want to do this because if I was to let her think that she was going to be interviewed, she's thinking she's got a chance and she hasn't. I'm giving her false expectations here for a long period because the interview period stretches out, doesn't it? Yeah, with first and second interviews and waiting for all the applicants to come in and so on. That's a long time to have false expectations, which is unkind to her. So I'm just gonna stop it in its tracks now. So she said, okay, over to you. It's on you. You're breaking company protocol doing this, so it's on your shoulders anyway. I said, that's fine. I brought her into my office. I said, oh, Anne, can I please see you for a minute? Brought her into my office. I said, I understand that you've applied for this vacancy in our company for an events coordinator, for a sales coordinator. It was a sales coordinator position, sorry, joining the sales team. And immediately she sat up. Yes, I have. She's feeling, maybe you're giving me a sneak preview of what's going on here. You're pulling me into your office to talk about this. All of a sudden, her energy levels rose. I could see she felt a little bit of excitement that she was in the general manager's office talking about this so quickly, so suddenly, so unexpectedly. And I said, I want you to know, I'm not going to interview you for the position. Oh my gosh. It was like a punch to the chest. You could see it. Yeah. She's like, I beg your pardon? Like, why not? I said, because I said, you have an advantage over every other applicant that applies for this job. and you're not taking it. This position as a sales coordinator in this type of business, it was a direct selling company, requires initiative. It requires going the extra mile. It requires working later hours. It requires not doing the 9 to 5, doing whatever it takes to get the job done. You do not do that. You clock in at 9 o'clock, you clock out at 5 p.m. You don't use initiative. You only do what's asked. I said, and you do your job. I said, if you do your job, you get paid. If you do more, you get noticed. You're just doing your job. I said, and this position requires more. So I can't give you, so I'm not going to interview you. It would be unfair to give you false expectations because I know you're not the right person. So I'm sorry. Well, she broke down in tears, cried right there in my office, right? And then I let her gather herself together and she went out, she left. About an hour later, she knocked on my door. Said, I'd like to talk to you again, please, Ben. And I braced myself. I thought, okay, now she's had time. She'd gone outside, had a cigarette to calm herself down. She was a heavy smoker. And she came back in. I thought, okay, now she's composed herself. The surprise has passed. Now is the confrontation moment. This is where it's going to hit, right? Here comes the storm. And she said, can I speak to you for a minute, please, Ben? And I said, yeah, please, grab a seat. And she sat down. She said, first of all, I want to apologize for my loss of emotion in your office earlier. I cried in your office. That was unprofessional. I shouldn't have done that. I said, hey, it's understandable. It was a surprise dialogue. And then she said, the one thing that has been the highlight of my professional career as an employer. This was the highlight of my career. She said, in regards to our conversation, I'd just like to ask a question. One question. I said, what's that? She said, what do I need to do differently? That was it. What would you have me do so I can move forward? That was the best question I've ever had anyone in any coaching environment ever ask. What would you have me do? She had been humbled by the experience, but she came back with a willingness to work. So I explained, use your initiative, get out there and don't wait to be told what to do. Use your own mind, use your initiative, go out and get things done. Don't just do what's required, do more. Like I said before, if you just do what's required, you get paid your salary. If you do more, you get noticed. If you get noticed, opportunity comes your way. Yeah, and then you're going to get all sorts of favor getting to you in return. I said, do that. And don't think because you don't report to me that I don't see it. Because it was her boss that reported to me. I was her boss's boss. Yeah. Don't think that I don't see it. Don't think that you're over there in the office and I'm over here in the office, that I don't see what's going on. I do. Get it done. Right. And she said, okay, I'm on it. I then went to her boss, pulled her aside, and I said, whenever Anne does something that uses initiative, that shows that she's going above and beyond, whenever you see her working late or coming in early, let me know. I want to know about it. Yeah, so I can be on top of that. And every now and then I would send her a note and say, just letting you know, I heard you did this. And she was like, how did you know that? Right? Because I have my ear to the ground. It's my job to know. It's my job to know. Well, fast forward a few months, another internal vacancy arrived. This time, not for a sales coordinator position, but for an events coordinator position. And I pulled her into my office and I explained this in advance to my HR manager, who was often frustrated by me not following protocol because HR likes to do that a lot. Yeah. I pulled her into my office and I said, Anne, we have another internal vacancy. This is for an events coordinator, which is still within the sales team. I said, I'm not going to advertise this position. I said, I'm going to give it to you if you want it because you've earned it. Do you want the job? This time she cried again, but for all the right reasons. Yeah. This is what, when we can, and now this is an employment scenario, and I go into detail here because it's a little bit of a coaching metaphor for all of us. When each of us are working with respective people in our teams, we need to apply some of these virtues as to how we work with them and build them up. We need to be their greatest cheerleaders and their greatest champions, but in doing so, we also need to be willing to be firm and forthright. Yeah. If someone is not doing what they should be doing, and we want them to have the best outcome, and we are their coach or mentor, it is up to us, it is beholden to us to be able to call them out and to have that relationship where we can do it. And it might lead to a moment of tears or frustration or despair for just a moment, but you get those highlights in our career as entrepreneurs, because that's really what it's all about, isn't it? What brought me into Nikan was the cause of humans being more. That's what attracts me to Nikan. That's what keeps me here. That's what drives me forward, is my community of people where we're all focused on becoming better and helping others do the same. But what can give us the highlights in that career experience as entrepreneurs is when people will come back to us and say, thank you for calling me out. What would you have me do? Isn't that the greatest moment? Because in that moment of absolute humility is when they are really, truly willing to invest and commit themselves to the work required to get the job done. And we know statistically that the greatest statement for anyone in any environment where they are making money is, there is someone here that wants to help me develop. Yeah. When we have that focus on personal development at the center, it rides above, by the way, the statement of that there are people here that want me to be satisfied. Employee satisfaction is not as important in all the surveys as employee development. People are more interested and consider it more important to be developed as human beings than they are to be satisfied. Satisfaction suggests a status quo. It suggests contentment. It suggests perhaps no progress. The waters are calm, but I'm not sailing anywhere. Yeah. And if we really want to feel fulfilled, we can't be satisfied on calm waters. We've got to be willing to set sail, and we can only do that with wind and waves. Yeah, that move us and drive us forward. So as mentors, this is my focus today, as mentors and coaches, whether it's to the brand new person that you brought in or to the prospect that you're working with, that you're talking to, the conversations we need to have to be centered on how, as we work together individually, as a partnership, or as a team, our focus and priority is not on helping you to be satisfied, but in focusing on helping you to be developed to your greatest potential. Surely that has got to be an eye catcher, an attention grabber for people as we work with them. That as we grab their attention, we sit them down, that we're saying to them, my interest in partnering with people is not to help them feel satisfied with life. Shame on you if that's what you want, to simply be satisfied. That's not enough. Our goal is to reach beyond satisfaction and to help people become the very best person that they can be. That means there's going to be pain involved. That means there's going to be some discomfort. We're going to rock the boat a little bit as we row it. Yeah. And from time to time, we've got to have that kind of relationship where if I'm not pulling my weight, you call me out. If you're not pulling your weight, I call you out. Yeah. And we can do that because we love each other. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. We've all heard that said before. Yeah. So we can say that. We can have that kind of relationship where we can really move forward and just help people get into that space where they come time and time again, because that's a repeated journey. What would you have me do? What would you have me do? What's the next phase? What would you have me do? So I think that's so important. So today's call is kind of a brief one. That's what I've got to say today. Is just that. Let's get our team members to that place where we can say, what would you have me do? And that does require us sitting down with people and asking some tough questions, having some frank and candid conversations. Some people might consider it unconventional. You might have some metaphorical HR managers that you are surrounded by that go, I'm not sure if that's right to say that. Yeah, but I think it's healthy to sit down with those that we love, those that we're partnered with, and say, can I ask you a question? As you look at how you're building your business right now, are you satisfied with what you're doing? Do you consider it enough? Do you consider what you're doing sufficient to get you to where you want to be? Or are you dropping the ball? I want to have a heart to heart. Yeah. And then have them come back and say, oh, that was uncomfortable. But I know that you did it because you loved me. That was a great thing. There must have been something in the way that I said it to Anne that made her come back an hour later after she dusted herself off to say, what would you have me do? If she thought I was just being tough and unkind, she'd have just gone back to her desk and then gone home. But she didn't. She came back to me. So we've got to have those conversations that make people come back to us. Yeah. They go, we've got a relationship here. We've got something going on here. No one's talked to me like that before. I like it. I respect it. I value it. Yeah. Because that means, you know, you're invested in my success. You know, you were willing to knock me down a little bit. Why? Because you wanted to build me up. Prune the current bush, so to speak. Cut back a few of the branches so that it can grow and bear more fruit. That's what we need. Yeah. Every now and then we need to do that. Madeline, your hand is raised. Let's hear it.
Well, it was a perfect message. I got an idea this morning. Not everybody here may know, but Heather and Dr. Gary canceled this evening's masterclass on sleep because of something that came up. And so I'm taking a bungee jump and answering the question and your thesis for today's lesson. So I have the slides from Ruben that Dave Balzer presented, and I've spoken to Dr. Stan, and we'll be pinch hitting tonight for Dr. Gary and Heather. Excellent. And edifying their leadership in self-care, wellness, social media, everything that they've done as a couple with ladies leading ladies, etc., with a heartfelt story from a collective, I think it's over 50 years, doctor and nurse, our sleep stories from the beginning to where we are today. So it'll be a story integrated into those slides. So it's last minute, need to pull it together, but it's in response to what would you have me do?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. So thank you so much, Madeline. What would you have me do? That's a great response. And I love how you are applying that so quickly in what you're doing tonight. So let's everyone get behind that, support that. 6 p.m. Pacific time tonight. Great Q&A opportunity for the sleep system and for getting to hear their stories with it. This is a great new product that we've got coming our way, and we want to be on the very cusp of its opportunity, because this is really, you know, there are a lot of companies out there that have Me Too products. This is something that is revolutionary and very exclusive to NECAN. Very, very exclusive.
Ben, it is the core center of the balance wheel greenhouse component of the wellness home, the beginning and no end wellness home. It's the flagship from day one, and it is the flagship being re-engineered and reintroduced at a perfect time at the beginning of Q2 of Vision 2025.
100%. But Mike, I was listening to Mike's call this morning, and here in his story about 10 years ago. Was it in Colombia, Mike, when you experienced it, you're like, whatever it costs, whatever it takes.
It was about 5 years ago that I was in Colombia.
Okay.
When I heard, when I was introduced, I don't even know if it was that long ago, but somewhere between the last 3 to 5 years, I was in Colombia and introduced to that technology for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. And you were saying last night, whatever it takes, whatever it costs.
And I've said it every time I saw Luis in person, even on the phone. I've said, listen, I still haven't heard from you. I don't care how much it costs to ship this thing. I want it.
Yeah, yeah. So like they've said, this gets to the very heart of the wellness home. Yeah, we spend a third of our lives asleep. And if anyone that was here that was at the 40th anniversary event a number of years back, where we had Professor Foster from Oxford speaking to us on sleep, you know, he said that that is one of the most important activities. Ironically, we're unconscious when we're doing it. It's one of the most important activities of our lives. We spend a third of our time on this earth doing that over anything else. We don't do anything else as much as we do sleeping. Yeah. And yet we take it for granted. We don't give it as much time and attention as it deserves. And yet here we are with a product. When we talk about wellness, you know, so many people think of nutritional supplements when they think of wellness. We've got wellness holistically from air, water, and critically sleep, as well as nutrition. Yeah, if you have broken sleep, that's not going to help you with your weight loss goals. It influences the way you start craving carbs and all the wrong foods and all sorts of things. It's remarkable how good sleep, as well as good hydration, also improves things like weight management and other such activities. And yet this all gets forgotten and overlooked. So, like I said, a critical subject, a critical theme, and a fundamental product that identifies us as being truly unique in what we have to offer. So thank you all very much. And we will see you tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.